Hi, I'm Dan Giordano, and I just want to tell you that if you get the chance to be around Michelle Prince, she is a true champion and just awesome to watch her growth working with John DeLemme and our company here, and just an awesome person who does what she says she's going to do, and just an amazing person that literally actually applies what she teaches, and it's awesome to see that and see the growth of what she's doing out there changing people's lives. If you get a chance to be around her, definitely do whatever it takes to be around her.
Because that's how I changed things a year and a half ago. And it took me a while, and I knew better. And I know a lot of you know I worked for Zig Ziglar, and I'll share that story. I knew better. I knew what to do. I knew how to motivate myself. I knew positive thinking. I mean, I've read all the books, I've been to all the seminars, but it didn't click for me until later in my life. It was my aha moment, is what I like to call it. Does anyone know the story of Roger Bannister? Yeah? If you've heard John DeLemme speak, I know he's talked about him before, Zig Ziglar a lot of times. I love this story because Roger Bannister, for those of you who don't know, was the very first person who ever ran a 4-minute mile. 4-minute mile. Can anyone run a faster mile than that? Yes? I'm not sure I can, but I'm happy for you. So back in the day that Roger was around, it was just a known fact that the human body was just not physically capable of running a mile under 4 minutes. It just wasn't, it couldn't happen. Scientists and everyone said this, and so the general belief across the entire world was it just couldn't be done. And it wasn't for thousands of years. But Roger Bannister, he was unique, and he liked to think a little different than other people. He was a physician, and so he studied the way the body worked, and he knew that there probably was a way, but he knew he could do it. He believed he could do it. So he set out to do that, and he trained, and guess what? He was the very first person to ever break the barrier of running a 4-minute mile, or less than 4 minutes. But the coolest thing isn't that. The best part of this is, within 46 days of Roger breaking this barrier, did you know somebody else broke it? And within 2 years, 50 more people broke this barrier that was absolutely impossible to break for thousands of years. And now all of a sudden, all these people are breaking this barrier. Did our bodies change during that period? I mean, did something magically happen with Roger and then the next person and then the next 50 that changed that they were able and capable physically to run that mile? No. What happened was their belief. When they saw somebody else do it, they said, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And if he can do it, I can do it. And she can do it, I can do this. That's the only thing that changed. Prior to them running that 4-minute mile, they thought that they didn't do it. They couldn't do it. But then as soon as they planted the seed that, that might be possible, and I believe I can do it, that is when things start to happen. And that's how we are with anything in life, right? You think you can't do something. Even riding a bike as a kid. How many of you, before you rode a bike, thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to do that? Or my 10-year-old asked me the other day, or said to me, I'm never going to be able to learn how to drive a car. How do you know about all these rules and stop signs and all this? I'm like, you learn, but you have to believe it. So what I'm saying is just because you're not necessarily ready, once you begin to believe you can do it, you have the power within you already to do it. Another awesome story that I love is about a man named George Danzig. Does anybody know who he is? No? Okay. George was written about in a book called Unstoppable. I love the title of that book, Unstoppable. It's written by Cynthia Kersey. And George is a college student, and he is one of those typical college guys that he stays really late up at night. He does study late into the wee hours of the night, but what happens is he tends to oversleep. And one morning, he did oversleep. He was late for class by about 20 minutes. And so he rushes into class, and he puts down his stuff, and he notices there's some equations on the board, and he thinks, oh my gosh, I better write these down really quick. This must be the homework assignment. And so he writes them down, goes back home, and spends the next couple of days trying to figure out these problems. They were pretty tough, but he knew they were going to be due Monday morning, so he went ahead and he pushed through, and he did. He actually solved the equations, finished his homework, went to the professor's office, dropped off the papers on his desk. He wasn't there, But Roger gets a call on Sunday morning at 6 a.m., and this is his professor. And the professor is absolutely elated, shocked, and overjoyed. And George is thinking, I just did my homework. But what he did is George solved 2 math equations that are known to be insolvable math equations. They call them mathematical mind teasers. Even Einstein could not solve these equations. And just a normal guy, George Danzig, he did. Now, I would venture to guess that if George was to class on time that day, and he knew those were insolvable math equations, do you think he would have solved them? No, he just believed it was homework. He believed, well, everybody else is going to figure this out. I'm going to find a way too. And it took a couple days, but he did it, not because he was some genius, although I'm sure he was smart. He did it because he just believed it was ordinary homework. It's so powerful. It is unbelievably powerful how what we're thinking about and what we believe, it's not just what you think about. And I think Nancy had the example of her dream board. And she was thinking about boats and cars, and she made this great dream board, but it wasn't happening. And I would venture to guess, partly because you have to conceive it, but also believe it. It's not just thinking about what you want. We can all do that. I want to be a millionaire. I want to make so much money this year. I want my business to go to this next level. But do you really believe you're going to be a millionaire? Can you see it?